All right, I had a pretty good weekend this weekend. These are my $40 worth of finds going to book sales and comic book stores and all sorts of things. So I thought I would show them off in this little video. First thing that I grabbed was this Conan the Barbarian collection. It's a little paperback. I've seen these before, but never really affordable. So I picked this up for $1. I like that it is definitely, it's in color. And they went real hard on the sort of pinks. But again, I like to see when I can find old reprints of things like these, just what they look like. And the coloring is always kind of the big sell for me. So it was cool to find that. I also found for $1.50, and it's pretty roached out, but a copy of Fritz Bugs Out. The back cover and the front cover are the same, so I'll just show the back cover. Fritz Bugs Out, which is this awkwardly shaped for today Robert Crumb collection. Looks like it was released in tandem with the animated movie. $1.50. Again, the front of it it's really not that great, but I've never read it. It's kind of cool looking. It's in the right place. As far as just regular comics go, a book sale I went to had a lot of sort of this era of Marvel comics, and so I could pick and choose from a bunch of them, but at the end of the day, I grabbed Eternals 5 for some of that Jack Kirby action. For real. I have a run of the Eternals, but there's maybe one or two that I'm missing, so grab this one just to be safe. Red Sonja, number 2. I've been looking at a lot of Frank Thorne stuff lately. I picked up Ribbit, which was a Frank Thorne book that he did for Comico, I think, and I found it kind of cool. So I've never really looked at Red Sonja, but I am doing a big, there we go. I am doing sort of a Conan thing lately. So I thought I would pick up his other half, or whatever you want to call her. I like the way Thorne does eyes. They're very distinctive. Son of Satan, number 1. I've mentioned before in these videos, I love the way that Marvel and DC tried to incorporate the early to mid 70s lean toward the supernatural into their books. And Son of Satan is probably the most ridiculous one. He's shirtless. I guess he's wearing a pendant or something. He just looks silly in general, and it's a weird fit. But I dig Son of Satan just as a weird character. Deathlock the Demolisher. This is a nice cut shape. I'm not really a Deathlock fan. A Captain Marvel. Amazing Spider-Man 275. Ron Frenz on art. There's a reprint in the middle of the Ditko Spider-Man. Iconic Ditko Spider-Man there. For $1. I don't have it. Daredevil 195. This is Klaus Janson on art and Denny O'Neil on story. Yeah, Janson's good. Silver Surfer 50. I used to have this as a kid, and it is gone now. That cover was probably, I think, one of the first weird 90s covers that I ever had in my collection. So, picked it up. I got a run of Prophet 5, 6, and 7. I have to admit, I looked at these, and they are fun, but man, oh man, they're out of control. So these 3 were $1 for all 3. So they're out there. Mobius Airtight Garage, the Elsewhere prints. I have issue 2 already, and here's issue 1. Again, that's one of those things where it's just you don't leave Mobius on the, you don't leave it behind when you find it. So that's cool. Doc Frankenstein from Burlyman Press. This is Steve Scroce, Jeff Darrow, Wachowski brothers, Wachowski sisters. When this came out, it was well beyond my means as a new parent to be picking up books. So I'm interested to check Doc Frankenstein out. Dino Island by Jim Lawson. Jim Lawson, I love his art. I love how cartoony it is. And when I saw that he was going to be drawing a bunch of Triceratops in it, sold. And now I just have to find the second issue. Like you can see, I know I'm doing this with one hand, but very, very cool. Phantom Force #2. I'd never seen Phantom Force #2 in all of my dives into long boxes. And it's kind of a substantial thing. I think this was right after Kirby died. And there's a murderer's row of inkers on this book, as there was with the first one. Rob Liefeld, Eric Larson, Keith Giffen, Jerry Ordway, Steve Rude. Just like a lot of folks that it's interesting to see their inks over Kirby's pencils. So Phantom Force #2, nice and thick. I picked up Action Comics 546. This has Gil Kane on art duties, and I have to admit I really do love Kane's Superman just because it's so stylized. And honestly, like as much as I love some of the guys who stuck with Superman through his run, like Kurt Swan and Kurt Schaffenberger and all those, like seeing Superman done like this is a treat every once in a while. And Kane had a nice run for a while. Gil Kane's one of those dudes. I really like his stuff. And he's done everything. He's done absolutely everything. So those are the comics. And then I picked up a couple of trades. I picked up The Power of Iron Man. This is one of those early trades. I think this collects the Demon in the Bottle story. I haven't really examined it yet. But again, I kind of prefer the old reprints. I think they're a little more faithful to the comics as far as the way that they're colored. I have a lot of reprints from the, beginning of the boom of Barnes & Noble and stuff selling trades and stuff and kind of going in that big. And some of the coloring on them is an eyesore. So this is cool, The Power of Iron Man. I also picked up Predator. This collects the first Dark Horse Predator series, which, as far as I am concerned, is the sequel to Predator. It's they definitely bend over backwards. Dark Horse did a good job of kind of looking at these properties, Aliens and Predator, and kind of figuring out what would be a cool way to go with it. So this one is, if I'm remembering correctly, this is Dutch Schaefer's brother, who is a cop in New York and then has to deal with predators. That Schaefer family deals with predators all over the place. It's a cool cover, and again, this is a 90s trade, so I wanted it all in one spot. I also picked up Sin City. This collects all the Dark Horse Presents stuff. The only Sin City I've ever read is A Dame to Kill For. I didn't really read a ton after that, so it was $1.50. It's definitely a good purchase. And I'm looking forward to this. This is top of the pile. I mean, everybody knows. Look at that. That's so cool. Book sale I went to had the first 6 issues of A Distant Soil. A little different. I like that it's in magazine format. I gave Distant Soil a try when I was a kid based on a Palmer's Picks and found it wasn't to my tastes, but I'm willing to go in and try again. So I got 6 issues of that, which is cool. The World Encyclopedia of Comics. So this is a big old thick book, you can see, and it's just exactly what it says. It's a pretty good print resource for comics artists all over the place. And this is probably a lot of this is probably Wikipedia style stuff, but $1.50 can sit on a shelf. It's nice. I was excited to get this one for $1. This is Barry Windsor-Smith's Storyteller. These came out in 96, and again, $5 was not in my budget in 1996. I'm sorry to say. So it's a couple of Barry Windsor-Smith stories. This is, I think he made the jump from dealing with Valiant. He's not with Ultraverse anymore, and sort of his own stories. Beautiful stuff, well colored. Tons of detail. They had more, but I was running low on cash, so I bought the first one. Hopefully I'll be able to go find the others at some point. I also picked up this famous first edition of Superman #1. I love the Treasury style sized books, and this is just a reprint of Superman #1. Like very, very, that art is super simple. You can always tell when something was kind of like nicked. You held maybe like copied or something. But it's cool to see it at this size, I think. I think it breaks it down a little bit more. So that's fun. And this is one that I constantly see at shows, and it's like they want like $10 for. So no thanks. I paid like $1 or $2. And then the rest is not anything comics related. I got this old Keith Richards cover of Rolling Stone that I'm probably going to put up in my garage. And this old Life magazine talking about going to the moon, and right before we'd gone to the moon. Cool. All right, that's my finds. I did a good job this weekend. We're in prime hunting season as far as books and comics and stuff, so this is a good start.